Hello and welcome. I, as you can see, am the Restless Kaiser.
And I am Johnny B.
And I think that I'm Harry from Fog of War.
But together we are
Modelling for Advantage.
Ta-da!
It's good to be back, guys.
Indeed.
Good to have you back.
Harry from Fog of War says, can't wait. I think he's in the chat there.
I couldn't.
Rosie's here. Woo!
Hey, Rosie.
Alid's here. I think we're having a slow start, mate. Solvent Abuse UK. Good evening. I never actually nice little thumbnail of Soylent Green there. I don't know if you know, mate, but Soylent Green is people.
That's okay. We've got plenty.
We've got plenty of it. All right. So that's the chat. Yeah, John.
Do we need to do the thing?
Do we need to?
We might as well, Harry. On the off chance nobody knows who you are, tell them who you are, what you do, where they can find you.
All right. Well, I've done the OnlyFans joke a few times, so let's not do that. So my name is Harry from Fog of War, and my channel is basically Battlefront's bitch. So I review Battlefront products for Team Yankee, Flames of War, NAM, Fate of a Nation, all of those kind of things. Even Tanks the Miniatures game when I can get away with it. So that is mine. And my channel basically focuses on product reviews, which is great because today we're doing product reviews, aren't we, guys?
Whoop whoop. Today we're sort of doing product reviews. I mean, we're not. It's not a live unboxing. We've not quite stooped that low. We do those separately.
Is it not?
But
it's close. It's close as right.
It's pretty close. Pretty close. We are going to talk about the new Team Yankee Soviet miners or Warsaw Pact nations release, and with a view, if there's time to even, Harry's going to suggest some army lists because you do really well on the tournament scene, right, Harry?
Absolutely, yes. No one loses at tournaments better than me.
Yeah. All right.
I heard in your last tournament, Harry, you placed 8th out of 7 players.
No, John, that's incorrect. I placed 12th out of 6 players.
Yeah. All right. Should we start, Harry? You've got some slides to bring people up to speed if they don't know what's. Should we start there?
Yeah, we can start there.
Yeah. If we start there, so we tell people a little bit about the release, and we'll go through that.
Yeah, so Warsaw Pact is, as you said, the minor nations for the Soviet forces for Team Yankee. So they were available before as separate books. So you would get, I think the Polish and the Czechoslovaks were almost pamphlets. They were very small soft cover books that you'd get with a few sort of rando cards in that you would basically, it was a Soviet list, but you gave it a bit of flavor. East Germany had a proper hardback book, I think. But what they've done now is they've rolled all of that together into Warsaw Pact. You've got one book with all of those nations in. And yeah, that one that I haven't been able to get hold of yet because Australia. And yeah, so those, you can see there's new card packs there for each of the nations. So it's nice. They were a bit of an afterthought in the game before. So it was like a Soviet list with funny bits in it. They feel much more cohesive now in the new release, much more fully rounded out lists. They need less help from the Soviets. They've got more stuff rolled into them.
Yes, I mean, it's one of the things. It's talking about the kind of the development of Flames of War version 4 and Team Yankee as along with it. As someone who came in version 4, when you look at the army lists for mid-war and you compare those to the lists that are coming out now, there's a real difference in force composition in terms of what's the term? Maybe like homogeneity. It's like how many embedded units you can get within the formation.
Yeah.
And you can really see that when you look at the Team Yankee list. Actually, you can see the development. So the lists that are old lists that have moved over lack a lot of integrated support.
Yeah.
Whereas the newer lists have significantly more options. And one of the things that we've really found, if you play with with low model count forces, like you're playing like Challengers, upper end Abrams T-80s, you really need your support embedded in the formation, or you just don't have any formation morale.
Yeah, 3 Challengers isn't very good if they just run, everything else runs away.
Yeah, absolutely. The dice don't go with you on that when you're down to the last one.
No.
And the Flames of War, a lot of the mid-war, actually, the desert stuff lists, there's really no options. You just have a number of tank platoons, one of which can be different. You know, whereas when looking at this, what's really nice is, I think what they've tried to do in a lot of cases is they've tried to make if they've not got a plastic kit, it's probably not available as embedded support unless it had been in a previous version 4 list.
Yeah.
When I say version 4, Team Yankee is essentially Flames of War version 4 as well, isn't it?
It is now. So originally it was, they called it 3.5 basically. So it was version 3 with a lot of the improvements that they had in mind for version 4. Team Yankee took them a bit by surprise because they released it and they thought it was going to be a little bit like Fate of a Nation and NAM, like a little bit niche. And it became wildly popular, much to their extreme surprise. So it's one of those things of, it was a surprise sort of winner, and they've really gone with it. But the new version of the rulebook that came out a year or so ago is basically version 4. It's all aligned them all up with the changes they made to Flames of War. So that's where we're up to.
Yeah. So for the Warsaw Pact, the big thing that's really improved the homogeneity of those uses is the Gaskin kit.
Yeah, that was a fantastic little kit.
Because it makes your little
BRDMs.
Star, a light anti-aircraft system and a light
anti-tank system. Yeah,
and they're all available as embedded support units to give you some flexibility. I think a lot of the list can, for example, take Shilkers, but Shilker is a big old clunky metal and resin lump.
It is a resin and metal kit, which is a bit of a shame because having a gun system like that is very useful. Shilkers quite often drive up to things and machine gun the heck out of the infantry at very high rates of fire, which Gaskin can't do. But having Gaskin and Shilker together is actually not a bad thing because you've got your missile system and your gun system. And if you've got an infestation of pesky NATO attack helicopters and A-10s or something like that, you really need something to make them, even if you can't make them go away, to wear them down a bit to keep them off your very valuable units.
And Shilker's a 30mm gun system, right? A twinned. You can shoot up APCs
23s, yeah. So 4 23mm guns.
23s, is it? Right.
Yeah.
But very high rate of fire autocannons.
Yeah, I think their halted rate of fire is like 7 in the game. Right. So put it this way, the rate of fire is so high that each barrel actually has a cooling system in it. So when you actually look at a real Shilker, each barrel has plumbing that comes on and runs coolant across the barrels.
Right.
And when they fire, the thing steams. But yeah.
So I'm interrupting you, but that was just about this kind of these forces. They're a lot more fleshed out than we've had before.
They are, and it's also things like you had to take Soviet artillery as your support. Well, now they've rolled all of those. You take East German acacias and carnations. So you have access to all of those things with a card for it this time around.
With a modified stat line to represent the different national characteristics within that, which hopefully we'll get onto. All right, you carry on, mate.
So that's the book. So we've got a hardcover Warsaw Pact book. We talked about that to replace all the individual ones they had. Plus we looked at the card packs. But of course, what everybody wants to know about is what new things are there that you can buy. And here's some of the new things. So you would have seen some of these by now because you've got your box sets as well. Have you had much of a look at any of these?
I saw an awesome T-72 tank company unboxing online.
Harry's, you mean?
Did somebody do that?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah,
That's all right.
Yeah. We say it a lot, guys. If you want single model unboxing reviews, we don't do them because Harry does them better. There's no doubt about it. So this new T72 tank company is the showcase of the.
It is. It's the thing that everybody's been waiting for. People have been crying out for an ERA armor equipped T72 since the game first came out. And interestingly, the T72 kit, which came out when Team Yankee was first released in when was that, 2016? It was they were still finding their feet with plastic kits, so it was a tad dodgy. Or let's just say it didn't have some of the polish of the kits that they release now. So I think one of the things I said in my review is what you get is the basic kit from 6 years ago, and you also get the upgrade kit with all the ERA and all the extra doodads that go with it. Yeah. And it was just, you can just see the quality between the two of them.
Oh, to be clear, the newer kits are better, but I've not come across a bad Flames of War kit or Battlefront kit.
I swore at my T72s when I built them a bit, but it's just stuff like
was it the smoke
locating the smoke discharges? Yeah. So you've got these tiny things that look like fake eyebrows, and you've got to try it. There's a little groove that you have to kind of glue on the turret to get them, and then the glue has to dry before they sort of wilt and look sad, that kind of thing. Where they'd have
I couldn't remember if it was the T64's got the same problem, hasn't it?
Yeah, the T64 is a bit better because the locating thing that you stick it in is a bit more pronounced.
It's a bit more, is a little bit more pronounced, and they're different shapes on the different sides, which helps.
They are.
So there's no way you're going to see this. And do you mind I just go briefly for anyone that doesn't know, because to illustrate what Harry's talking about. So the smoke launchers, if you can see on the lower part of the front turret, but you're not going to see the locating pins, are you?
Oh, no. There we go. That's looking good.
But you can see that they're configured slightly differently on the two sides, and that's a huge improvement when it comes to gluing them on. That you know that they're facing the right way because one won't go in. So there's a tiny little groove that you have to put them into. Now, from a manufacturing perspective, the reason they've done this is because if they cast the smoke launchers into the turret, they can't get the level of definition.
Yeah.
So this was the T64 and the T72 have those. They're separate little pieces that you attach into grooves on there. But the alternative is if you look at the Challenger, the smoke launchers are cast on with the turret, and they look
They are a bit sad.
They're a bit low res, shall we say? They're a bit low res.
Whereas what they've done with the T72B kit, the upgrade kit for this, the smoke discharges actually have a chunk of the turret attached to them, and it just fits
they just needed a bigger section of the turret that they fit into. I think.
So I mean, even me with my big thumbs trying to put them in, once you get it in the slot, it all aligns and drops in the right way. Pardon me, it would be very hard to actually do that wrong, even for me.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's what kind of I thought, having reflected on it. So the T72 ERA, for anyone that doesn't know, explosive reactive armor. This is the world's passive defense system against heat rounds in particular, and of course heat rounds not just fired from projectile throwers, tank guns, but they're also missiles. Of course, missiles are pretty much all heat rounds.
And the infantry anti-tank,
What?
And infantry anti-tank as well are heat rounds usually.
Shape charges, absolutely. So with an explosive reactive armor, the idea is that that it will explode on contact and will therefore put a counter force in. And when you think about how shape charges are effective, they're that way, aren't they? At channeling energy inwards, this is going to disperse a significant proportion of that. It's not going to stop the tank from being damaged, but it's going to stop it from being penetrated, probably, in most cases. Now, obviously, as weapons have got better, the ERA, there's this constant ongoing battle, but it isn't a ablative armor. When it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Unlike the main body of it, but it was a Soviet upgrade package that's been applied to retrofitted to almost all of its vehicles to extend their service life.
Yeah.
Even I think Contact 5 has got thicker metal plates on the outside
Fly
of it.
plates, yeah.
Some impact against kinetic penetrators, like discarding sabot rounds, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it looks cool, I think, and whenever you see Soviet tanks that got it, we need to remember this is a life extension package rather than like it's better if this is embedded in the tank. It's better. I mean, better armor is a better decision.
Yeah.
This is a vehicle life extension project.
So the other ones on here, the Su-17, or for the Warsaw Pact guys, the Export Su-22. So you get a cool aeroplane, which is very nice. And they come in packs of 2. I have a video for that coming out when I can be bothered finishing it.
So these are actually, rather than making their own, this is a third-party set, isn't it?
Yeah, this is from Academy.
Academy.
So, yeah, they're a Korean manufacturer, I think.
Yeah.
So it does make a more difficult kit to assemble.
It's a basic model kit rather than a wargaming kit.
It's a scale model kit. And, you know, there's wheels and wheel well bays and all sorts of stuff that you don't normally have on a wargaming kit. But, I mean, it's also a 30-year-old mold, so it does show that a little bit. But
I mean, the one I looked at, it looks clean.
Very nice. Yeah.
And compared to resin and metal aeroplanes, I'm prepared to fight with a complex plastic kit because the wings are not bent or bowed or all of those other things that can happen with resin.
Yeah. And again, you're not building 17 of these for your T-55 tank force. You're only building 2 or 4 or 6.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to build hundreds of them. So it's, if you had to do this for a particular type of kit in the game, an aircraft kit's probably not a bad choice to have a more complex kit for. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think that when they do their annual sort of chat and State of the Nation address at Battlefront, they're quite clear about the upfront cost of plastic kits and why everything isn't in plastic and why it's the popular stuff. Looking at third-party alternatives compared to just not offering them.
Yeah.
And if you don't like this, I believe you can still buy the resin ones. Is that right?
There was never a fitter.
Oh, there never was a resin one.
No, it's That's why everybody was very excited for it, because it's it's the slightly older fighter bomber thing, which is why it's in the Warsaw Pact, because a lot of the minor nations operated them.
Right.
So the next one on the thing there is the M5359 Praga AA platoon, which I had never heard of before it got announced. It's a Czech, basically, truck with guns on it.
Yeah. The Czechs like putting weapons on trucks.
Yeah.
And because they've got the Dana as well, haven't they?
Yeah. Which
is a truck-mounted howitzer.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah. Okay. So people who've played Wargame Air Land Battle on computer, like me, are a bit more familiar with the minor nations.
Right.
Because they have all those. It's easy to make a video or something, right?
Yeah. So anyway, so that's a resin and metal kit. So I'm guessing that you'll be cranking out quite a few of those for your
Won't
forces.
Be touching it, mate. It's also Czech only.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the new releases, but they've also brought out new starter packs, which I was waving my starter pack around, and Kaiser's still in its plastic. Yep.
These are big boxes, bro.
They are big boxes. Absolutely.
They are deep boxes. Ooh.
Yeah, so there's the T-72 one, which gives you, I think it's 7 T-72s, a couple of Gaskins, some T-55s, the new fitters, and of course the ubiquitous Hinds.
Yeah.
And the BMP, which gives you some infantry, a lot of BMPs, some T-55s, and some Frogfoots.
Yes. So the miniature count in these pretty solid.
There's a lot of stuff.
there's a lot of stuff in these. 9, 14, 16. Yeah, there's about 20 vehicles in each of these, and of course, sometimes you compare these to the World War II ones, and there's similar number of vehicles, but these vehicles are much bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your T-55 is like a big World War II tank in size, but your T-72 and even the BMP is huge by standards of World War II models. So in just as a kind of off the cuff value for money, if you're going to get these, I think they're decent. But I think unlike a lot of them, these actually you can use both of these on the 100-point list, which is the thing about Eastern Front, right? If you're going to play Warsaw Pact Man and Edge, the models are cheap, and you've got 10 T-55 from memory. East German 1055 is about 16 points for 10. They are junk, right?
They are.
But in scale.
So I think we talk about occasionally. I have a guy I play against who plays East Germans, and I put down my 3 challenges, and he lines his side of the board with T-72Ms, T-55s, and BMPs, and it's like, oh, okay, I've got my work cut out for me then. Yeah, it's quite daunting to look at. Yeah.
And actually, I think it puts a lot of pressure. If you want to play a modern NATO force, you can get a near indestructible tank that can kill anything, but there's a very real chance that you're going to have an awful lot of targets, and you're not going to put out enough shots.
And even if they can't kill your tanks, if they kill all your other stuff, because there's just so many of them, then your super tanks run away.
Yeah. And I think a Challenger, a T-55 can take out a Challenger from the side with a lucky roll, right? It can happen.
I can bail them out.
All right, okay.
I know this from bitter experience.
Right. You can bail them out. Yeah. But you can make a pretty solid force. Now, let's not be shy about this. These are £80, about $100 for these boxes. This is not. But if you want to play Warsaw Pact in a game that's got Challenger 2s in it, you need to expect to buy a lot of models. There's no getting away from that.
And the T-72B really changes things for ex-Germans and Poles and what have you, because
giving them that high performance vehicle.
Yeah, you used to have to take a Soviet support platoon of T-64s or something, or T-80s, to give you some high AT heavy tank support. Now you don't. You can have your own. They can be painted in your army's colours. They can be marked the same as your army. They reflect your levels of training and remount and all of those sorts of things. So that's part of what we were talking about, that these just now feel so much more finished and homogenous type forces.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sweet.
Anyway, so those are excellent value. They really, really are. So we talked about the T-72. That's the kit itself. So we can see all the ERA armor blocks on there.
I mean, you can't argue with the level of that's a 15mm model. It's maybe
Look at that.
They're probably pushing towards 3 inches in length. I haven't got one of those. I've got a T-64 here, which I think is a similar size. Yeah, a similar sort of size. The detail on it, really nice. You've not got gaps. I love Flames of War's kits. I really do. Really. Even the ones that frustrate the hell out of me. So I can see what you're saying about the smoke launchers now.
Yeah,
it's
that was so much easier to do. Yeah. No, that was actually quite a nice kit to build, because all the stuff that was fiddly in the original T-72 kit's been replaced. Like even the side skirts have really good locating pins, and they just snap up into place, rather than the other ones, which were kind of, you had to hold them for 15 minutes until the glue dried enough that they wouldn't pop off.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some of the kits, some of the infantry fighting vehicles where the sides and the top have to be glued together rather than having an upper lower hull and skirts. Yeah. They're not great. they're not great as a
They can be tricky.
frustration proposition, but they do work if you file them down and glue them together. So I was just saying about the T72 for anyone that's curious.
Oh yeah, go back to that.
If you've got a lot of T72s already and want to upgrade them, I'm afraid it's not going to be that easy. If you've got the existing frames and you have a buddy who's got the upgrade sprue, you can absolutely, you get the old frame and one new upgrade sprue. So if they're unbuilt, you're fine.
Yeah.
You've already built them. The two problems on a simple level, you could probably pop the skirts off and replace them. But unfortunately, it still uses the lower turret part from the original, so the bed upon which the turret sits. So if you've already built a turret, I don't think you're getting that off.
No.
But if you haven't built them and you sat on a mountain of them from a previous purchase or whatever, you definitely can just get hold of. If you can get hold of the upgrade sprue, you can just build them as. Yeah, and the ERA plate, the upper hull is the same. So the ERA plate on the glasses plate, you could just overlay that.
Yeah, you can just drop that straight on.
But you could probably mix and match a little bit if you've already got some built.
Yeah, I certainly intend to. I don't see any problem with just saying to your opponent, all my T72s have ERA. It's, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that. But that's kind of why that box set's very versatile, because you can build the original T72A from the original kit. You can build the T72M if you're one of the Warsaw Pact nations that want to take the export version.
And isn't that the same, just with a different machine gun?
It's the same. Oh, it's exactly the same. So
externally, the stats are different.
The stats are different, but the kit itself is very much the same. It's just there's no composite armor inside it. It's just all steel.
Yeah.
So that doesn't show on the outside. Or you can then use the upgrade sprue and make the T72B.
Yeah. All right. So, right.
Oh.
So that's the fitter. That's the one I built for my review. It was good. Took me longer to build than I was hoping. They've replaced some of the bits with resin bits. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to file those down to fit in, because it's the new bendy Cyocast resin.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because it has a different weapons loadout, is it?
Different weapons loadout, but also things like the wheel wells under the wings are two-piece plastic parts. And what they've done is replaced that and put the weapons pylon on it as well, so that the weapons pylon is actually held on quite well by this other part that fits into slots nicely into the thing. But there's a bit of fiddling to get them to fit in.
Right, but the finished model is more stable because of this alternative.
Yeah, absolutely, because otherwise it's just a butt-jointed piece of plastic that, if you take that to a war game, you're going to end up with a pile of bits in the bottom of your
pile of bits
bag. Pile of bits.
Love a good pile of bits. Very nice. Now, before you move on to the next one, I think you should have a little look at the chit chat and see what people are saying.
Yeah, there is a few people chit-chatting in there,
which is nice. There's some fans of the kits, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What's this? Hello, everybody else watching live through Facebook and thought watch live through YouTube. Whatever works for you, mate. That's why we stream multiple locations. Excellent value, and you compare the stars. Yeah, if you're considering buying, I mean, we try and review all of their army sets. Some of them are not as good as others. The West German was a bit disappointing on value, but it wasn't value; it just wasn't nearly as good value as all of their other ones. And the Hungarian one was similar. It felt it was a couple of tanks shy of being a cracking deal.
Yeah.
But generally, they are worth it. And I suspect their own sales have showed them that those where they had more like 15, close to 15 than 20 vehicles, they've not sold as well. They're not as attractive. First Team Yankee, one Macarva platoon and one RDF-LT. What's that, Harry?
Yep, Rapid Deployment Force Light Tank. It's an experimental. It's one of the paper panzers for Americans. But George, I think I've seen him this week talking about RDF, and what have you. So welcome, George. Glad to
I
see
hope
you
they
here.
don't come with bent barrels. Yeah, let's
They're
hope
all
so.
because they're resin and metal.
And that's it. Metal barrels bend and snap off. Resin barrels bend. Plastic barrels, they're straight or they're broken, but they're never bent in my experience. Unless you glue them in the wrong way around, of course, that can happen. RDFLT, is this like a striker type idea?
It's an air portable light tank, so it's a really light, low, very science fiction looking chassis with a very long, low pressure gun on it. So basically, it's like, how can we make a tank that we can stick into a Hercules and take it somewhere?
Wow.
Shackles and sprues. I can't say I'm a huge fan of the rules, but the miniatures are fantastic. And I mean, that's a horses for courses thing, you know. Some you like complex rules, you like simple rules. I quite like Team Yankee Flames of War because it's relatively simple. I like that, and I think as a system, there's an amount of work has obviously gone into thinking about the interactivity of weapon systems and defenses, and that's really quite important, especially in a modern game where there can be a huge amount of imbalance. So it doesn't feel like I don't know. You got 30 mil of front armor. That means you got an armor rating of 3. It feels like it started there, but then there's been some work on around that, deciding on precisely how that works. So how much of that cover is 30 mil or whatever? Because I've tended to find the tank versus tank and anti-tank, the numbers seem right when you're playing them, and I can say that that's not the case in a lot of game systems.
Apparently, Phil Yates has a magic spreadsheet somewhere with all the numbers in, and it spits out the points values for all of that stuff.
Yeah. Like every system, there's problems at either end, and I think the counterbalance of that is one of the things I've been looking at. The lists we now increasingly are playing with try to be more balanced. Obviously, I look at the because I'm usually creating both lists for Flames of War Team Yankee. John just turns up and rolls a dice.
Man.
But having a list that says, well, what this list needs to have some capability against 50 BMPs. This list needs to have some capability against 3 challengers. So all the lists are moving towards having some anti-air, having something with a very high anti-tank value, even if that's just a Lynx helicopter, which can potentially get behind. But it's like because I think that's the bit that's missing in points-based gaming, is in a tournament scene, you have to be prepared to face all eventualities. When you play against your mate's known collection, it's much easier to ignore some elements that you might otherwise need.
I think one of the hardest tournament games I ever played in Team Yankee was somebody who bought a leaf blower list. So I put my British on the table and he rolled out like 18 Hind helicopters with Afghansi infantry in them. And it's like, Jesus, I don't have enough anti-tank, anti-air.
Yeah.
And British are usually pretty good for anti-air, but oh my goodness.
Could not deal with that.
West Germans. All right, so you got the West German. I mean, they're nice models. They're nice. And the Leopard, there was a new Leopard in that one, wasn't there? 2A5, 2A6?
Yeah, the 2A6, very nice.
Ultimately fell in love with the Macarva. Yes, I don't know whether we'll see an Israeli box. I think they do a plastic Macarva, but I don't think they do anything else, do they?
They do a box set, which is, I think, a couple of Macarvas and a couple of Cobra helicopters, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Not an extensive range for the old Israelis.
Been looking into World War III. Would like to see some Swedish army. Is there any already? On my to-do list and my reading list, I have had the Team Yankee book for about 2 years. And I need to read it to find out how it all's panned out in there. I mean, Sweden's not in NATO, so I don't know whether it's taking part in the...
No, but Sweden is a nation a lot of people want to play. I have seen a lot of Swedish forces proxied on the table.
Right, yeah.
Why is that then, do we think? What?
They have really cool, unique stuff. A lot of people just want to put the S-Tank, the turretless sort of gun tank thing.
Have you seen it,
on
John?
the table?
I have no idea. No.
It's like it was designed by a kid. It's awesome. So how like a Stug, a self-propelled gun, so very, very low profile, anti-tank gun in the hull, intended to be used in a kind of ambush role. So the Swedish have really gone on that, but the gun is literally fixed in the hull. There's no real traverse in it at all. But the whole vehicle is designed to be able to turn easily.
So it's like a Rubik's Cube with a gun in it.
Yeah.
Are we talking like that?
It's like a door wedge, so it's really pointy at the front. So it's like somebody stuck a gun on a door wedge.
Wow, what the hell? No, I've not seen that. You'll have to show me that.
Does it have a driver position at the rear as well, I think?
Yeah, so it can drive away.
So when we're here, the driver moves to the other end and waits to go. But it was one of these, Sweden realizing, what are we going to do if the Russians come steamroller us? We're a neutral nation, and hopefully they'll observe that neutrality. But if they don't, what the hell are we going to do? I don't know. We need something really cheap and some degree of effectiveness. So it's very much the Spinal Tap thing. They've turned up the self-propelled gun to 11 and ended up with something that's a bit weird, probably a bit of a dead-end technology path, and probably was terrible, but looks cool.
Block of cheese.
Yeah, I don't know that they were terrible, but yeah, they were designed for a specific
I don't think
purpose.
you can realistically expect to aim against moving targets.
Ambush and runaway.
Yeah, one shot, give up another 50 miles. I don't know how much. I don't know how good that is in truth.
Wasn't that British tactics for World War III? Like shoot them until they get within range and then run away again to the next set of hills?
Yeah, but they didn't have to be in exactly one position.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
For me to hit them with
push that button at exactly the right moment.
So George is busy saying he'd definitely buy a Stridswagen 103 and 1/100 scale. So tank.
And so would I. Lots of people would. I mean, it would be cool as hell. And with Team Yankee is a science fiction setting, it may well involve them. Actually,
it is moving further and further away from reality, which is interesting.
But I think that's absolutely fine, because the reality of horror and modern wars is just horrific. And I look at things like Oil War and thinking, I'm not entirely comfortable with this.
Yeah.
To be honest, and these, I lived through the politics of this. Let's do some science fiction modern stuff. I'm cool with that. I'm okay. All right. What we got next, Harry?
Oh, what have we got next?
We got all the pictures.
Oh no, this is me getting mercilessly crushed by my East German opponent. So Ben wanted me to show you his tank so that because you were going to do the 3-color camo.
I know I already have.
Oh, you already have?
Yeah. I've got some T-55s.
Oh, beautiful.
Oof.
With mine plows, look at that, and a commander.
Yeah.
All the things.
So yeah, that's my British and Australian infantry getting steamrolled by so many East Germans.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was because I was working on the list. I think it was 16 points. Now, interestingly, you might know more about this, Harry. The other thing in that picture was the BRDM?
No, that's the
BTR 60.
Yeah, BTR 60.
Isn't that actually the principal East German infantry personnel carrier?
Those things are terrible.
I know, but isn't actually that the one that they mainly?
No. I mean terrible in terms of for me to face them as an opponent, because there's so many of them, and their infantry get access to. Because they don't have missiles attached to them, they actually get infantry with anti-tank missiles.
Mm-hmm.
Useless at tanks, but Jesus, they dig my infantry out. Ben sits his spigots miles away on top of a hill and just digs out one infantry team every turn.
Right.
Yeah, so it blows my British out of their foxholes.
Wow.
So, you would think you'd want BMPs? BTRs. BTRs with spigots and gremlins.
Yeah.
So speaking of lists and formations, shall we talk about lists?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I don't know if anybody's going to be able to see enough of that. But I went through the starter box and went, how many points is that for East Germans? So with the T-72 BHQ, 2 T-72B platoons of 3, and a pair of Gaskins, that's an amount of points that are hidden under the logo, which I now can't see. That's okay. So it all comes to 49 points. Oh, there we go, 32. So 32 points for that, 17 points for support. So with the fitters, the Heinz, and a company of 5 T-55 AM2s. So the whole thing comes to 49 points, just shy of 50.
And that's that's with the T-72 box building them as the
that's everything. That's everything in that box gives you 50 points.
Oh wow! What's the standard point game? 100?
110 in the tournament scene at the moment. So that's half your list in one box, which is very cool. So that's East Germans. What did I talk about? So the same thing for the Czechoslovakians. Your T-72s are cheaper. They're only 30 points, but your remount is terrible. So, if they get bailed out, they're not coming back.
So I'm just going to have a look at that while you keep talking.
Yeah, so that comes out with the Czechs. So now you've got all their own stats. It's exactly the same box, but now it comes in at 46 points. So it's only a few points, but with 3 points, you can do quite a bit in a Warsaw Pact or Soviet force.
So this is what Harry was saying about the price difference. The different national characteristics are reflected in those kind of courage and skill checks. And the thing with the East Germans were one of the stronger of the minor nations, not in terms of equipment, but in terms of motivation.
Yeah.
Whereas the Czechs are at the other end of it. Their equipment is often pretty good because they had a lot of pre-war heavy industry. But their motivation, their remount, like you said, you pay less points on those tanks. So the remount of 5 means large numbers of them are not getting back in.
Wow.
But some of the nice things about minor nations is their skill isn't 5+ like all the Soviets. So,
it's better than Soviet stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the Czechs, and I had a fiddle around. So if you bought the T-72 box and the BMP box, you could make a very nice 78-point list with T-72Bs, some infantry, up to 4 Gaskins. So you really need those to take against NATO aircraft. Flight of 4 fitters, still got 2 Heinz. And I was a bit cheeky. I went for 5 standard T-55 AM2s, and I went for 5 Raketenpanzers, T-55 AM2s with long-range missiles.
Right.
Okay.
So that's actually not a bad, reasonably well-rounded force for 78 points with 2 starter boxes.
And you've still got room to add some craziness.
Yeah.
78
some
points.
Artillery in that, or you'd probably pump the Heinz up because there's only 2 Heinz in the first starter box in the T-72. So you'd probably want a couple more of those.
Yeah.
Two Heinz don't usually stand up very well.
No. I mean, it's a nice big body model. What? This is one that's.
It doesn't seem to do a lot though, from what I can recall.
You have to take them in 4s or 6s
to get maximum effect.
Yeah. So the first time you bring them on the table,
anti-aircraft fire.
2 or 3 will go down. You have to have enough left over to kick everybody's ass. And the first thing you shoot with them is the other guy's anti-aircraft stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of models there, isn't there?
It's a lot of models. Yeah, if you bring a Soviet force, you end up with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
9 BMPs in one platoon.
Yeah. And I think the biggest one is 12.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't take the big one because there weren't enough BMPs in the box.
Yeah. If you've not seen it before, the BMP kit will make either the BMP 1 or 2. The 3 is radically different shape, so that's a different kit. And the Warsaw Pact guys don't get BMP3s, do they?
No, they don't.
So here's one of the problems that I have a little bit small problem with or issue with Team Yankee, and this is when I was saying before about how they seem to have got a lot of the numbers right. The area where I feel that they have not got the numbers right is generally small, smooth bore cannon are better than modern autocannons. Scorpion or Scimitar. The Scorpion is older than the Scimitar. The move from the 75mm cannon to the 30mm Raden cannon, or is it 20, whatever it is, was an upgrade. The gun is definitely worse in the game.
Yeah.
You know, so one BMP1, BMP2, the cannon on the BMP1, the cannon on the BMP2, and the cannon on the BMP3. It's the bigger gun still performed better.
Oh, so RD Tabletop Studios just asked, are the LMG teams in the starter box? Haven't seen them. We were discussing that pre-show. They are part of that unit, but they're not in the starter kit. And in fact, as we discussed, the infantry that are in there, as far as I know, are Soviet infantry. They
are, but I've looked at so you can still buy the Metal East Germans, I think.
Yeah.
Now I had a look at them, and I couldn't tell that much of a difference in the sculpting of the uniform.
No, they're not. I mean, they do have slightly bigger helmets, but
do they?
It's 15mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's more the colours than anything else.
So I have had a look in one of these, and the people may be disappointed or pleased to hear they are the infantry are the sculpts that you've had for Soviets for a long time. They're those, so they're not hard plastic on sprue. They're a softish. They're still quite hard to the touch, but they're not this Sayo cast.
So they're still the flexible plastic. I didn't mind those. I like the Soviet infantry and the flexible plastic.
So they have really, really thick connections to the sprue. They're still on a double-sided strip. They're those ones.
Yeah, I like those. They're nice.
Now, it may be that they still have an amount of that, and then when it's completed, they will replace it with the Sayo cast stuff. I don't know, but the one box I opened, it had that generation of plastic model, like the Fallschirmjäger are still like that, I think, and the Desert Rat stuff. You know, the actual in the desert infantry. It's that era of plastic infantry.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that it's really difficult with Flames of War. You got and Battlefront in general. You got metal infantry, you got hard plastic infantry, you got this soft plastic infantry, which there seems to be two different materials, but it's the same generation of sculpting. I like those sculpts, but they did have problems if you had a long weapon, like the PTR, the Soviet PTRD.
Oh man,
they're all in curly
shooting
white
around corners. Yeah.
It's
like crazy straws, isn't it?
Yeah. I got myself a bendy straw. And you're never getting that straight, right? There's just no getting away from it.
Oh, they swore if you dipped them in hot water and held them with burning fingers and stuff for long enough, it would work. But it never worked for me.
Hold your nose and swallow 3 times, and then give a pound to St. Anthony, then it'll work. Yeah. No. But I have to say that the newer sculpts that I've seen them do with the newer Sayo cast stuff is actually pretty nice. The early Sayo cast was really hit and miss, but the newer stuff that I've seen is nice. I think they needed time. I like the old flex plastic Soviets. Materials work well for the scale. Okay, different strokes for different folks.
I think so. My first plastic infantry for those, the flexible plastic, was the Soviets, and they were great. And what they'd actually had to do was they were very delayed because they'd done them and they were terrible, and they delayed them and re-sculpted them, and they sculpted them for the material, and they were great. But a while later, I got hold of some of the original British Desert Rats infantry, which were the very first ones done in flexible plastic. And they'd sculpted them the same way as they would have done for metal. And, there were gun barrels the width of a human hair. And in the flexible plastic, that did not stand up well. So yeah, it's matching the sculpts to the material, I think, is the key there.
Yeah, well, I think they still haven't set. I think, well, no, I think that Cyocast technology is really expensive. I think if you're looking forwards, you need to stomach the fact that you're going to be seeing Cyocast infantry for a long time.
And as long as they get the materials and the quality control right. I mean, weren't you guys
Yes.
talking about how Warlord spend a lot of time getting a particular mold and knowing exactly what temperature and pressure and whatever it is to get the best out of that? And I think, yeah, Battlefront need to be doing that. There was a lot of stuff.
Well, they probably are. I just haven't been to New Zealand or Malaysia
Sure.
to see them do it.
But what I'm saying is there were a lot of things that got released into blisters when they were first doing that should never have done that.
Yes.
And yeah,
I think it's a quality control problem, not a process.
Well, and Battlefront do very much do we'll ship it, and if there's a problem with it, we'll ship them another one. They do have fantastic customer service.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's a case of that's where they've decided to do the quality control. We'll ship it out. And if it's good enough for you, that's fine. If you complain, we'll send you another one.
Yeah.
So their customer service is great if you do have a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, less so with the modern stuff, perhaps, you know, and I think that they have a lot. Some of the older version 3 players have got a problem with this. Is they've tried to move away a little bit from infantry. And the player base doesn't want to, but there is definitely a lot of clear blue water between the kind of what comes out from Battlefront brand new as a plastic sprue tank, and you get one of them and like, this is amazing, and you get some of them in, well, actually these ones are in metal, but if you want their anti-tank teams, they're in resin, you know, and so forth. And I think they're trying to move us all into their more modern releases. And I don't know whether you could play Team Yankee. You could play Team Yankee without being ahistorical, without infantry. I'm just not convinced you still wouldn't be bonkers to do so, because infantry are really difficult to shift for the points.
You can have my British infantry when you take them from my cold dead hand, guys, for Team Yankee.
Yeah.
My Brits and my Australians, the infantry really make the list go.
Yes. But they don't have the offensive power, you know, which is good balance. You know, if you need to take ground, infantry is not the way to do it. You're going to hold ground, infantry is the way to do it.
Absolutely.
You know, I think Team Yankee's good. So they're not going to be able to get away from infantry, which is interesting. Although I'm tempted by a Soviet list that's just got so many vehicles. I just think infantry is so difficult to remove.
Yeah.
And they modern infantry find it very easy to kill light vehicles.
True fact. They've got the tools.
They've got the
RPG. As I said, stuff, sometimes you get surprising, like the Spigot teams for the East Germans picking my British out. I mean, they're only killing one standard turn, but man, they're killing a standard turn. So, you know.
Sorry, when you said the Spigot teams are killing your infantry stands.
Yeah. So the Spigots are anti-tank weapons. Yeah. So it's an anti-tank weapon, but it's not very useful against most of the tanks I've got. But you can shoot it against infantry in foxholes or in bulletproof cover. And with the number of dice for it, they are killing one team per turn. And yeah, it's not too long before you're starting to make morale tests or you get assaulted and you're at half strength.
This is where we find out your opponent conned you and you can't actually fire a spigot at the doofer.
No, it's in the rules.
Missile. Oh, so it's got a 3-up firepower.
Yeah.
And 3 shots.
Yeah.
Is it one of the ones on the Soviet ones on the massive bases?
Yeah. So it's got a big base with 3 launchers on it.
Right.
Yeah. It's hideous. So if you're an East German player, that's how you piss everybody off. Take PTO infantry with spigot teams.
I'm with you. So statistically, it's killing half a base a turn, but you only paid a couple points for it, and he's never going to kill it. Now, there is a downside to that, though, isn't there? Is that if if that base fires, then that unit can be shot at and it isn't gone to ground.
Unless they leave it behind and advance everybody else.
Oh, Jamie.
Leave it behind on the hill, As long as it doesn't move, it can fire just fine.
Because you probably can't shoot at it.
Yeah, because it's so far away.
Because it's got super long range.
Leave him
That's
on
a
a
bit
hill
gamey,
down the
Jamie,
back,
that.
charge
It's a
everybody.
bit gamey,
Yeah.
Jamie. I'm not sure about that. I think there should be a rule that says you can't fire an anti-tank missile an infantry team.
Nah, it's the East Germans have to have something.
1 million T-55s. 1 million T-55s.
Oh dear.
All right, Harry, have you got any other slides? Because we're running close to time.
We are close to time. Did you want to look very quickly at the Forces Builder, or did you want to talk about do a wrap up for the releases?
We can. Should we quickly? We'll plug in what I was looking at doing.
Yeah, sure thing.
And see how that comes out. Is that all right?
Yeah. So if you flip up the Forces Builder for me.
Oh, I need to switch to the other screen. Here's Harry.
You do.
So
you're not doing checks. So how about I go back?
This is Flames of War's proprietary list building service. You do have to pay for this to get the East German Army list for this. Harry, how much did you pay?
I bought the T-72B Panzer Battalion list for $1.
For $1.
$1 Australian dollar. Well, actually, $1 US.
$1 US. Now,
$1.62 Australian.
Are all the white ones that you've got, or would you have to pay for the other ones?
Once you buy one of these lists on here, you get access to all the support ones, and they're all down there.
Right.
Okay.
But we can only look at building a T-72 Panzer Battalion.
Yeah, I haven't bought any of the others because
okay.
I'm cheap, but I needed to buy this one the other day for the review.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So let's have a look.
At least you're only paying for what you need.
I'm clicking it and it's not listening to me. Why are you not listening?
I can see choose formation on my screen. I don't know whether you can.
I can't see. Oh.
Choose formation. Start new.
There we go. So T-72Bs, did you want to buy a HQ?
I think we need to do that.
All right, so we'll buy one of those.
Boom. Look at that.
And a company. How many would you like?
Well,
you can have between 3 and 10.
Do I have to have two, or can I have one and one other?
You do. You have to have two, so there's two compulsory ones.
No, but can one of the compulsory ones be a different tank type?
Okay, let's quickly go back to there. So you have to take two of those. Then the third one, if you take all the black stuff is compulsory.
Yep.
The grey stuff is optional. So
it's got to be 3 and 3 then, hasn't it?
It's got to be 3 and 3. Okay, so 3. Are you taking the missiles?
No.
You're not taking the missile upgrade?
Definitely not.
Okay. You may regret that.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I've got a 4-foot table.
You've only got a small board. Okay. Yeah. No, understand. Okay. So that's your basic 3 and a HQ. What else would you like?
If we plug in, so there's another optional company. Can I get some T-55s?
No, but you can get some T-55s in support. So you can't have them organic in here.
In this book, I can get some T-55s.
Oh,
AM2.
Organically inside here, you can't. If we go back out to here, you can get as many as you like.
But organically in here, you can.
Can you indeed?
Interesting.
Hang on. Is that T-72B or T-72M?
No, that is either T-72M or T-72B or T-55AM2.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the battalion.
The Panzer Battalion, yeah. This book here, Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a T-72B Panzer Battalion?
Look, there. That says T-55AM2.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, what is it? What formation is that in that you're looking at?
That is in the T-72 Tank Battalion.
Right.
But not the T-72B.
Oh, no, that's the M.
Oh, yeah. You see?
Yeah. Oh. See, this one, you get the 72B or the 72M. You can still take your T-55s, but they're not organic.
But I need
if we're looking at the starter box, did you want some Gaskins or some BRDMs?
I will be taking Gaskins. I'll be taking 4 of them.
Forecasting.
So that's 33 points so far.
Yeah. And then I am going to take... I've got some shilkers. I've got a pair of shilkers. How much do they cost me?
Pair of shilkers at 2 points.
Pair of shilkers. I'm going to have to fight with them because they're resin and metal and I hate them, but I've got them.
Yeah.
BMP Mott Shoots and Company. I'll take one of them.
Okay, we can do that. Do you want small, medium, or large, sir?
Well, the problem is in that box, I've not got any PKM teams.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to take the small.
Come on. Is it selected for you guys? Because it's lagging really badly for me.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Yep, so that's saved. That's 41 points.
41 points. We play 75-point game.
Yeah. So you're going to have to go shopping.
Going to have to go shopping. I'll take the BMP reconnaissance troop.
Aufklärung Zug. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got 9 BMPs and I use 4 of them.
So
let's go 4. Let's go nuts.
Nuts we go.
Because we've got a lot of points.
That's 45 points.
30 points
Should we go support shopping?
Support shopping. Yeah. Let's look at support shopping.
Should we stick your T55s in?
Well, 30 support points is interesting. Because 30 support points is exactly the proportion that we have to leave off table as well.
Yeah.
You know, in the mix, if you play a 75-point game, I'm seriously wondering about having some Soviet T80s with this list.
Bodilon says 34 T55s and you're there.
8 million T55s died.
Here we go. T80 Tank Battalion.
Can we do that? How many? So that'll be the company, won't it?
Yeah, so it's actually doing it as a formation.
Odd.
Support.
Oh.
Hang on. So does it just allow you to have a company? Shot company. There we go. Have a T80 shot company. Yeah, so you can't just have one platoon. You actually have to take a formation.
Ew, I've misunderstood that.
Actually, I'm not sure that you're wrong, to be honest. I thought you could take an allied.
You know what? In the red box here, it does say formation.
So you can take an allied formation.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So that's that then. So I guess it is the T55s then.
So do you want just Panzer companies or do you want the Raketenpanzer?
You can't have many of the Raketenpanzer, so I'm going to take the AM2 10 off.
Okay, 10 off. That's 16 points.
Oh my god.
So that's 61 points.
14 points.
Oh.
Do
you want some Heinz?
We could look at Heinz. Yeah.
Or Fitters.
There still aren't many points, are there? You can kind of have everything you want. I'll take 4. Oh,
yeah, because.
Oh no, I've got a problem with 4.
Why?
I've got
You've only got 2.
2 in the box, but John broke the blades of one of them. He's lost.
You don't need those.
I fixed it and then broke it.
You know the magnet that goes in here. He's fixing it and then he snaps it off and it's lost, gone.
Somehow, somewhere.
So, did we go for 4?
I'm sure it wasn't your fault, John. I'm absolutely certain it wasn't your fault.
It wasn't.
Did we take 4? I can't remember.
Oh, we did.
Boom. How many points
did
we
you
got
change it to 2? So you're at 71 points. I think you got 4 points left.
Ooh.
4 points left of our standard game.
Do you want some fitters? Blow him up with some more airplanes. God.
4 points. It's not going to get you a meaningful amount of airplanes.
No, it's not.
It allows me to do sound effects, though.
No, how much is a pair of Frankfurts then?
7 points.
Yeah, dude.
So we've got 4 points. What could we use that on?
You could get another infantry platoon at company.
You could.
But probably not in
I've got those down here.
BMP2s.
No, you could get some more BMP1s. You
Let's
could
see
take
how
some
much.
BTR 60s and blow his infantry up with.
I'm
How many BTRs do you want to build?
just at the moment we're using, apart from the Shilka. Oh, it's 6 points. So
It
apart
is
from the
6
Shilkas,
points.
everything's in out of these boxes. 4 points. What about the crappy Gaskin anti-tank version?
Oh, the Spandrel.
The Spandrel.
Panzer
2
Abwehr.
points for 3 of
2
them.
points.
That's how good they are.
There you go. And you still got 2 points.
Creeping.
Have another bunch.
Oh, and it fit mine plows to my T55s.
Sure thing. Yeah, that's a good idea. Then you can make them just charge into combat. So that's 1 point.
Woo!
Still got a point left.
Oh my god.
Do you want to stick some mine plows on some of your T72s?
Well, I was thinking if I go into the game 1 point down on John, if he beats me, it's because he had more army. He had more points.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a valid.
You have more points, mate.
Mm-hmm. So if we go and view your force then, so you get this really nice diagram you can print out. You got 45 points in your Panzer Battalion, which is a HQ, 2 platoons of 3 T-72Bs, 4 scouts, a short BMP-1 Motschützen company, 4 Gaskins and 2 Shilkas. Actually, what you need to do is get another couple of Shilkas.
Yeah.
3 Spandrels, Heinz, and 10 T-55 AM2s. That is a lot of stuff to put on the table.
That's crazy, man. It has
John,
been noted
you're not going
by...
to enjoy this.
No, I'm not. It has been noted by Shakers and Sprues. Aren't T-55s in themselves mine plows?
Yes.
That is great. Yeah, they are.
Oh no, he's done me in.
So what? This was using although the Shilkas we could have swapped for different aircraft choices. I mean, there's 4 planes that we didn't use there, right?
Yeah.
And that was just looking at it as a T-72B. That's deploying this force at its top end, really. And the only expensive-ish unit that we didn't look at there would be to have BMP-2 infantry, but that's probably not that many more points.
It's not.
No, because of how that is. So that's the 75-point game is what we play on a 4x4 footboard. And I like the fact that it's got those 1 and 2 and 3 point units can make that. Okay, I'm going to spend 60 points on this, and I know that, but then you actually do get crap versions of all of those other elements. I mean,
that does make it hard though if you're playing NATO and 1 platoon of 3 tanks of yours is 33 points or something stupid.
Yes. What's interesting though is the T-72Ms were similar, until in that top half of the list looked a lot like the British list. Then there was just and 10 T-55s and bloody Gaskins, and he doesn't have that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting list. We're gonna give more detailed unboxings of these down the line, but our schedule's been really ram-packed recently. So 17 points each for the 205.
205, yeah.
What's the challenge is 20 something, is it?
Can't remember off the top of my head. It's hideous. Yeah.
It's crazy point.
On Thursday, for anyone interested, let's go back to the big. We are releasing our review of Combined Arms.
Looking forward to seeing that.
Which is the air, land, and sea board game stroke campaign system that Warlord Games are releasing. We're not like under NDA or anything. We've just been asked not to talk about it until the release date too much. But we can tell you the video's coming out and we like it. I can say that. You can say that. Those will be coming out on Tuesday of next week. So because of that, they've asked us to release it on Thursday. And because we've got a guest on Tuesday, next week's videos are going to be at sort of subnormal times. On Tuesday, we've got Grey for Now Games, who's the guy who was on the co-writers of Test of Honor, and he has the license for that now. Get your samurai fix on. But he's really works on this game 0 to 100 hours, which is the same system, just developed a little bit for creeping around in the dark, blowing up Nazi supply
That
dumps
looked like
and stuff
fun.
like that.
It's going to
It
be
looks
so good.
Fun.
It looks good. He
Mm.
sent me a rule book, approved copy of the rule book. It looks all right. It's got patrol mechanics and stuff in it, which don't look like you've got to pore over tables forever. And there is some agency for the guy who's basically playing the plodders. You know, it's not entirely passive.
So like, are we the baddies?
Yes, exactly. Are we the baddies?
Fritz, stop talking about home. We'll get killed.
Yeah. So that's where we are. We've also still got 2 of the Flames of War mid-war boxes to unbox. There's loads of stuff in the pipeline. But we're hoping.
I watched the Tobruk one. That was fun.
Yeah. Unfortunately, World War II unboxings are getting longer.
Yeah.
As I learn more.
And whose fault is that, Kaiser? It's
because John asks questions.
Yeah, I do ask questions because I know nothing.
Yeah. So
they are a lot of fun, though.
That's what we got. I hope you found it useful. It's always nice to have Harry on. I am now going to go in and get working on painting this. It'll probably be a while before I see it, but fortunately, I did already have a bunch of T55s, some Heinz painted. It won't be a forever thing. I know some people. I got a comment the other day said, "You know, we played that American Civil War game 1 year ago. We've not played another one since."
Yeah.
And I've not painted a single miniature of it either. You know, we have so many things that we're working on. But Team Yankee has been a while, and this will be what will be next. The East German Army. I think we need to make some changes to the British. Chieftain Marksman, mate. Because you can make the autocannon sounds, John. That anti-tank, anti-aircraft system.
I love it. Somebody asked if we could do a soundboard, and yeah, they'll buy it as well. So
yeah, absolutely,
definitely.
All right, guys. So Harry, just remind the beautiful people at home where they can find you and your content if they're interested.
Yeah, so I'm Fog of War on YouTube. I cover Team Yankee and Flames of War, so you can find me there. I have a Facebook page as well. I'm reasonably responsive. I come and talk to people if they talk to me. So come and look at my content. I occasionally do other stuff than Battlefront, but not often.
No. And you're a part-time D&D'er as well, but that's a different channel.
That is a different channel. But thank you for having me on, guys. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you guys.
Remember, for Harry, it is awful o'clock.
It's 6:45 in the morning at the moment. You can see the clock over my shoulder there.
The sun's going to be up.
The sun will be up real soon.
In no time.
The cat is sitting on the sofa looking at me going, "What are you doing, Daddy?
What are you doing?
Why aren't you in bed?
Yeah,
it's cold."
Epic.
All right, guys. John and I will be at CrackCon next Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to CrackCon.
We're going to go to CrackCon.
So hopefully we'll pop up on their stream.
CrackCon? I thought you said something else. I thought that was an ambitious name for a...
Well, very much so.
The meet up and play date arranged by the Plastic Crack Podcast. They're a lovely bunch of guys. We're going along, say hello. We have bought tickets. We're not just kind of like busting in, be like, "Yeah, mate, we're here." we are actually officially going. So if anyone is there, be lovely to meet up while you're there. In the meantime,
enough,
guys,
I won't be there.
Why not?
Australia is a long way from there, isn't it?
It is.
I hope. Did you get any modelling done, John? I didn't even get a sprue open.
Yeah, you'll be happy to know that I made a blue tack cookie.
Way! Oh, move!
Excellent,
guys. It's been a real pleasure as always. Lovely to see you again.
Always
Harry.
fun to be on.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.